Class 1 Chapter 7, Tourism Product Promotion. Introduction. Marketing communications describes the combination of methods used to communicate with targeted consumers. The terms marketing communications and promotions are used interchangeably here. The lecture concentrates on those promotional techniques which are most suited to travel and tourism products. We start by looking at the importance of communication and examining the communications process itself. The promotional mix is discussed, as are some of the factors which influence the success of marketing communications. We then look in more detail at the promotional categories which are most relevant to travel and tourism. Promotion is often mistakenly referred to as marketing, although as we saw in the earlier discussion of the marketing mix, the promotional elements constitute only a subsection of marketing. Promotional activity is, however, extremely visible and so often attracts more attention than do the other marketing mix elements. Communication is implicit in product design, pricing and distribution, as these all portray something to consumers, but it is the main promotional methods of advertising, public relations, sales promotions and personal selling, and the specific tools within these categories, that we are concerned with in this lecture. The promotional mix, often described as a submix of the overall marketing mix, the promotional mix consists of the variety of methods used to communicate with the target market. The combination of promotional methods chosen greatly influences the success of the marketing communications effort. Public relations activities are included in this lecture, although these often have a wider remit than the other promotional methods. In travel and tourism, the brochure has a significant role in communication and so can be treated as a separate promotional category, as it is this book. Marketers essentially mix and match the promotional methods best suited to both their products and their promotional objectives. It is hoped that this will result in an appropriate marketing communications program. Objectives. By the end of this chapter you should be able to understand the role and importance of marketing communications in travel and tourism. Identify the elements of the promotional mix and the characteristics of the main alternative. Recognize how the characteristics of travel and tourism influence the mix of promotional methods chosen. The importance of successful marketing communications. Successful management of an organization's communications with its consumers, middlemen and other publics is essential. Without this, a well-designed and produced product or service may go unnoticed, however well distributed and priced it is. Some form of communications system is necessary in modern business, and organizations are constantly improving their skills in this area. The volume of messages now being aimed at consumers makes such improvements necessary. The cost of marketing communications also means that it is important to maximize the return on any investment in this. The communications process. The essence of communication is to convey or exchange information. This is not always easily achieved. There is potential for any message to be rejected or incorrectly received. A communication is only successful if the message is received by the intended audience as the sender meant for it to be received. Anyone sending a message on behalf of a travel and tourism organization should therefore be aware of how communications work. The organization of an effective promotional campaign. The key to successful management of the communications effort is coordination, and there are a series of useful steps which organization can take when preparing communications. Identify target audience, determine the communications objectives and budget, and select the message, method and media. Identification of the target audience. Successful communications begin with a definition of the target audience. The audience influences the message and its delivery. It is important to define the response that is sought from the identified target audience by firstly determining their current view of the product and its state of buyer readiness. There are a series of stages a consumer may go through when making a purchase. Awareness. Target audience must be made aware of the product. Knowledge about a product does not necessarily accompany awareness of it, and so it is important for organizations to communicate product knowledge also. A little-known destination will need to ensure that the target audience is informed about what they have to offer. Liking positive feelings can be developed towards products, and it is important to try to encourage a degree of liking. Preference. It is not always enough to like a particular product, especially in competitive markets where other products may be viewed more favorable. In such circumstance, it is important to try to build consumer preference. Conviction. It is possible for a potential consumer to develop preference without becoming convinced of the need to purchase the product. The challenge here for marketer is to convert a favorable attitude into conviction. Purchase. Despite the presence of conviction, not all consumers will go on to purchase the product, and so there is a need on the marketer's part to lead the consumer to purchase. Determination of the communication objectives and budget. The overall objectives of promotional campaign need to be considered. Promotional objectives stem from the broader marketing objectives, which in turn stem from the organizational objectives. Without clear and precise goals, it is difficult both to produce promotions that are effective and to measure their success objectively. The importance of promotional objectives cannot be overstated. A number of these may be identified by an organization and need to be prioritized. Objectives should not be vague, but precise and measurable statements. Travel and tourism organizations need to determine an overall budget, or appropriation, to cover all promotional activities. Budgeting aids both planning and financial control. Essentially, the budget is a plan, describing the sources and uses of funds for a future period, usually a year. The plan should allow for contingencies. Reserve funds can prove invaluable when unforeseen events create an opportunity for an unplanned promotion or an unexpected downturn in business suggests this would be appropriate. Selection of the message, method and media. The message, having identified the target audience and the desired response from them, it remains for the marketer to design a message that will be effective. A variety of types of appeal may be adopted. A rational appeal, for example, could illustrate the benefits of using the product, whilst an emotional appeal will be based on stimulating an emotion, such as fear or guilt. The method. It is highly likely that the organization will select a variety of promotional methods in order to communicate their message to the target audience. This combination constitutes the promotional mix which was introduced above. The characteristics of the different promotional methods are important in determining the correct mix to be used. There are also a number of other influences on the makeup of the promotional mix. Some of these include product characteristics. For example, atmosphere may be extremely difficult to portray through certain media, target market, product life cycle, communications environment, and push versus pull strategies.